Mark Szymanski's back, fresh off the sponsored trip to Cloudfest. How was it, my friend?
It was great, Matt. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. Always a
Did you
pleasure to
have
be
to
here.
get a lower back tattoo that said Cloudfest is the best? Some
No,
kind
that
of
wasn't.
Asian
That
symbol?
wasn't. That wasn't part of the deal. No, no, it wasn't. But
But it
it
looked like
was
a
a
good
good
time. It looked like everybody had a great time. I unfortunately missed it because I literally lost my voice. I was down to a whisper, literally, and I'm about 90% right now. It's
Have
not
you
fully
thought
back.
about? Have you thought about eating more steak and like
I
chicken and
have.
potatoes?
I have thought about that. I almost sent you a picture of last night's meal, which was a steak and a sweet potato.
There you go.
And I figured you would really appreciate that. But
I'm just looking out for you. You could sick a lot. You need your
yes.
voice. We
Well,
want to hear.
When
we
you
want
have
to
three
hear.
kids one day, living off Uncrustables is going to be a thing. So
Uncrustables are good.
they are good.
Okay.
They are good. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is the Unnamed Podcast. We haven't figured it out yet. Generally, it's me yelling at Mark. I won't do that today because last time he DM'd me privately and he was like, please don't yell at me next time. I said,
I
okay,
didn't say
fine.
it. I ain't no bitch. I can handle it.
All right, so what else did you learn at Cloudfest? Give us the rundown. I know you've done you're doing a ton of interviews I see coming out. They set you up a nice little cozy nook to interview guests with. What's your big 1-2 takeaways from Cloudfest that you learned?
I mean, it was my first time in Miami. I thought the team pulled it together really well. It was a transitionary year from their last one in Austin. It was a full new team, so I thought everyone had a great time, like in our group, but also it seemed like just the general attendees had a pretty good time. It's not really a WordPress focus. Like there's a lot of names that you would see down there that are around the WordPress space, but it's a lot of hosting. Obviously, it's not a WordCamp. It's much more business driven. So I would just say that the main takeaways are it's a cool atmosphere because everybody's there to kind of like connect, obviously network, but also like has the kind of like bettering their businesses and such in mind. So yeah, I mean, I would just say it was generally a pretty good use of time overall. I mean, I had a great time. So
Net positive for the business?
I mean, there's a little bit of nuance there, sure, but I would say
You should have said which business, Matt.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would say that it was for Szymanski Media. It was definitely a net positive because I got a lot of content out of that. I built better connections with people that I think I should have good connections with, that I want to continue to learn from and potentially collab with and such. And from like a Motive 11 standpoint, I would say that it was okay. I mean, I learned some things that I could apply there. But like I just when I'm doing the interviews, I'm doing all that stuff, I'm not like thinking like, oh, does anybody need a website? Like, how could I do that? It's you'd almost have to think more collaboratively because those clients aren't there. It'd be more of like, oh, is there any agencies I could part with? Are there any contractors I could partner with? So not too much of that, but that also wasn't the main thing on my mind. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, bummed I couldn't be there. I saw Raquel and Adam. Well, I know they went because we were all supposed to meet up. Certainly a miss for me because the hosting course would have been a great thing to talk to other web hosts about, which was one of the key reasons why I wanted to go. It would make total sense, but we're nearing 100 registrants, to the course, and that's been great. We got a few other folks who have joined the community. If you've not seen it yet, go to thewpminute.com/courses. Eric is actually working on a new course right now, which will ship hopefully in the start of December. But right now, you can get into the Hosting Decoded course completely for free, learn about WordPress hosting, how to make those right decisions, how to build those relationships. Yeah, I had a few meetings lined up with some folks to, again, talk about this idea and help distribute this idea. It sounds like I should go back, or I should go next year. It sounds like it was advantageous.
I mean, so I've been to quite a few events this year. Over the last course of the last year plus now, I guess. I would say that this was like the best for some reasons. Like it was for you and I probably the easiest travel, like, like from where we
Yeah,
live.
East
So
Coast.
that's a huge benefit. Don't even need to change the clocks. So yeah, I mean, for that reason alone, I would say it's huge. But from a like being there in an environment, it was like enough people where it felt like a big event and it was a nice area and stuff like that, like reasonable area, whatever. And but at the same time, it wasn't like super crazy. Like there wasn't like I mean, there was the after parties and stuff like that, but it wasn't like wild. Like you could definitely do have a lot of good conversation, establish those connections. The talks, I didn't attend too many of the talks, but I feel like with every single one of these events, the talks are just like they kind of get overlooked because there is a show floor unless you're at like a press conf. Like there's a show, there's like a big show floor. There's always stuff going on even when the talks are happening. So I will say just like most events, the talks were kind of underattended from what I saw. But you could still get a lot out of that. And I'm sure I know they filmed them. I'm sure you could watch them as well. Um, but I would tell you to go back. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what my travel schedule is going to be like at least in the beginning of next year, but I see myself being there if it's in November again, I would assume. I don't know if the date is out yet.
You learned a little bit more about the Fair project, which I don't know came out a few months ago at least at this point. What's your hot takeaway about Fair?
Definitely an interesting thing technically. I was in the room for the hackathon. I, put a bunch of content out from like vlog style to like a full to interviews to like a full recap video on the main channel with all that. So there's definitely a lot of thoughts baked into all that. I would say if I had to condense it, it's like technically very cool, like technically very interesting. Um, but as I say in the end of that video, it's like that's dope. I think that that's really cool that we could do stuff like that at all in open source. It's just like the stuff that we've talked about for you and I have talked about. I feel like for like 2 years now, the stuff that you've educated me on, and like I've kind of like questioned and learned. I just don't know if it's gonna like. It's one of those things where it's like it's really cool, but is it gonna get adopted and is it gonna get like absorbed at all or like even encouraged in the ecosystem? Just given all of the stuff that has happened over the last year or so. So, um, but from a pure project perspective, I think it's pretty sick. I mean, there's a lot of like really smart people that are putting that together, and the fact to like build, uh, basically again, it's like repos and aggregators to have like different ways of serving different packages, plugins, themes, stuff like that. It was definitely something that I enjoyed learning about.
Yeah, I was tweeting to Yoast few weeks ago when he was talking about like slow innovation in WordPress and stuff like that, and kind of like I oftentimes feel like maybe Yoast talks a lot, but also doesn't execute a lot, which I know I could get some feedback with against, but it's also just my own sort of point of view, my own constructive criticism. I mean, he certainly talked a lot about Fair or about decentralizing WordPress distribution and sort of solving that gap for the issue of the supply of WordPress.org being the weakest link in the supply chain, and here comes Fair, which once again, like I think it's great. Like he certainly is doing it. Fair to me, again, it almost feels like now folks have to decide, like, do I support Fair or do I support WordPress.org? And it just feels like one of those traps of reality and humanity, where it's like, well, if you're supporting Fair, then you're against WordPress.org and sort of its beliefs and how it's being led. I think from a technology standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world. It's literally how Linux desktop operates, or Linux server, and that whole ecosystem. Like when you go to install a package on your, let's say, Linux desktop or Linux server, it is looking at tons of mirrors that are out there. It's not just looking at one source and saying, give me the package. It's looking at a bunch and saying, okay, what's the closest to me? What has the version that I'm looking for? And then which which one either have the choice to download from a particular mirror or just pick the fastest one available. Like, this is very common. This is how, I don't know, I felt like the internet has worked for so long when you go to download software. And yeah, like from a technology standpoint, it makes sense. The critical things here are, in my opinion, it needs widespread adoption and distribution. Distribution most important, right? Like a big host has to support it. Otherwise, it's just like it's going to be a slow grassroots movement, which is also fine. I'm just saying, like if it's going to blow up, a big host or many hosts at once have to greenlight this technology. Second, my critical take is it doesn't really innovate WordPress. It's not helping WordPress get better. It's sort of just like helping with the general infrastructure. You could make the argument that is, okay, now people can get packages from this distributed place. Okay, I agree, but that doesn't help like advance the user experience of WordPress. And I think where they'll try to push, which makes sense, but again, is a pretty big uphill battle. I think where they will try to push is e-commerce, e-commerce for plugin developers. If they were smart, they would probably partner with somebody like Freemius to help distribute licenses and be the infrastructure for payments. But that's something that is not available on WordPress.org, the ability to sell your plugin. Though billions of dollars flow through WordPress.org, quite literally, there's no mechanism, like a theme forest or Code Canyon, right? This is stuff that we've talked about, or I've talked about for years, is if I'm a theme author or a plugin author, just tax me, 30% on WordPress.org, just let me sell it as a trusted, verified source. And I think that's where FAIR goes to like make things exciting for WordPress, but that still hinges on widespread adoption and distribution. So that's my take on FAIR. Makes sense. All the sense in the world from an infrastructure play and a security play and an e-commerce play, but the big players need to adopt it in order to get it into the hands of everybody. I don't know if you got any take on e-commerce at all with Kareem or anyone else you talk to.
I mean, in the room, I think if you're saying e-commerce in the sense of like you would be able to load, again, it's all very early now, but like you load the FAIR plugin, and then as I demonstrate in that video, like your plugins become not served from the WordPress org repo or the aggregator or whatever you want to call it there. It's coming from currently the Aspire Cloud aggregator. So there could be, there is now like a couple more, at least like new packages, new plugins that would show up there. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I got confirmation that the idea is there will be premium packages in there, like premium plugins, premium themes at some point. So I know that's definitely the way that they would go. So I think that is, I mean, I feel like that makes sense. And a theoretical level, like your taxing strategy, I feel like that has some validity to it. I don't know the specifics, but maybe, at some point we'll see something like that. The 2 points that I make in that video are, again, the adoption one that we're talking about, the adoption / like permission, I'll call it, so to speak. I mean, you don't really need permission for stuff, but just like the consequence, so to speak, in this system that seems like people end up running into when you build stuff and certain people don't like it or whatever, the WordPress apparatus, Matt Mullenweg, et cetera, whoever. So we don't know what the answer to that question is. The only other one that I have that's interesting, but it's more broad, and I think we've talked about it before in other aspects, is just incentivization. Like, what is the incentive to build FAIR, be a part of that? My idea of incentive normally always boils back to money. But I don't think that is always everyone's incentive, especially in an open source world and landscape. But people still need to make money to live. So it's either like, there's either two ways. It's either like you have a job and then you can and then the job pays you, and then you're also contributing to open source kind of like on the side or in addition to that. Or I guess in some cases it's a little closer knit. And I'm actually not sure. I didn't really dive into that enough. I don't know if this is like I know it's backed by the Linux Foundation, stuff like that, but like I don't know if there's money involved here. I don't know if this is like a business or it's becoming a business or if it's any of that. I didn't get a chance to talk to Yoast too much this, a couple weeks ago when I was at CloudFest US. And I did talk to Kareem, great conversation, but we kind of didn't really talk too much about Fair. So I was really much more on the technical side of understanding everything, but I am extremely interested in that side, the incentivization, any sort of business side to it. And I don't have any details. So I know you talked to some people like when it first came out though. So
Yeah, if you go to the WPNet.com and search for FAIR, FAIR, you'll find the interview I did with Carrie and Kareem back in June. So it's been quite a while since I had that conversation. Yeah, I don't know what they would do, like if the hypothesis of e-commerce comes to play, like you can sell plugins through the FAIR network, like how that all pans out and like where the money's shared or whatever. Obviously people are at the companies that are leading the charge, like maybe Human Made and Aspire and Crowd Favorite, and I don't know the name of Yoast company that he has now, but I think it just goes back to like, why are people doing it? It's certainly not to get paid. It's just that they believe that this is the way forward to a more openly distributed, package manager for WordPress. Even though that's not technically the right term, but it's like package manager for Linux. It's like this for WordPress. And they just openly believe that this is, the way forward as an alternative. And that's it. They'll make their money elsewhere, but they'll devote X amount of time to this. Just like there's the 5 for the Future initiative. People are donating their time to this as their open source thing. And, more power to them. I think it's a great project. It's just waiting for it to get that widespread adoption so it actually makes an impact. And that's the hard road ahead for them anyway, to make those inroads, presumably with hosting companies and certainly big agencies, so that agencies use it as like a fallback mechanism for any of their like enterprise clients. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about FAIR.
that's all I have to say about that.
FAIR is fair. It's fair game. FAIR is fair game. Did you see Devin Walker join Jetpack?
I didn't catch your video yet, but yes, I did see that.
Eric Karkovac interviewed Devin Walker. The title of that episode is Creating a Better User Experience for Jetpack. He's joining as the title. I don't know if he made the title. I talked to him before he interviewed with Eric. I didn't catch the title when I chatted with him pre-interview, but artistic director. He's the artistic director for Jetpack, and that's an interesting take. Usually, I would assumed president or director of Jetpack. I don't really know what the titles look like at Automatic and how they sort of like break them out for different departments, but the way that I understand it, he's the buck stops with him. The Jetpack buck stops with Devin Walker. I'm sure it goes up a notch to Matt, but I think Devin's the one that's going to redirect that plugin. Do you use it at all? Have you used it in the past?
Have I used it? I mean, I've experienced it within WordPress.com, but not necessarily in .org ecosystem. So limited. But I mean, you have a .com website, right? I mean, what's the difference between .com and then .org side? Is it kind of similar in the way that it works?
If there were ever a moment where I could have a virtual hand that reached across the screen and just slapped Mark Szymanski, it would be right now for the for the question of what's the difference.
I don't have the time to look at everything.
I mean, how many years have I had this conversation? Right now, if Brian Cords, friend of the show, Brian Cords is listening to this, walking his dog with a gin and tonic in his right hand, he is cursing at the sky. There is no difference in terms of like that Jetpack experience. I think they're just kind of bolted on. I mean, maybe there's some like 10% in nuance of Jetpack and WordPress.com, but it's largely the same. This is
That's
a plugin. this is this is a plugin that Matt Mullenweg famously said was the reason why WordPress was growing so fast, like 15 years ago, which was the
Maybe.
comment that actually got he and I connected on my first interview with him because of those comments. But anyway, it has changed hands a few times over the years in terms of like who's in charge and who's building stuff for it. I think Devin will bring a much more user-centric product experience versus a more like technical and like UI UX uplift, which I feel like that's what this evolution of Jetpack has brought us. In the beginning, it was just like throw everything into this plugin and give it to everybody, and then everyone hated it because it was slowing down the sites and there was so much stuff in it and it was, quote unquote bloated and all this stuff. And then over the years, they like improved the performance of it, but it was still just like, what does this thing do? In the last few years, they've made it look better. You can toggle things off more easily and a little bit more seamlessly. But it still feels like a product that's half-baked. For instance, I use VideoPress to deliver the videos for all the courses at the WP Minute. Fantastic price. You can't beat the price of VideoPress. Great player, loads fast. But you need Jetpack to run it. And then like when you have like it's like there's no options for like me to really do anything with VideoPress. Like I don't even have like a dashboard of stats for my videos. Maybe it's there. I can't find it. You would think when you pay for a video service, you could also like customize the player a little bit. There's no real option. I mean, there's some things you can toggle on and off, like elements on the video, but you can't like create a nice looking like brand, match the branding of your site kind of player. You would think you would get all that stuff, but I think all these things are thrown into Jetpack, including things like CRM, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, it's just a kitchen, just throw everything. Here's an idea for WordPress.com, throw it into Jetpack, and then see what happens. So I think Devin will make that transition a little bit better for the user, for Jetpack anyway.
There's two ways to experience Jetpack. There, you can like just have WP.com, right? And like it's basically kind of built in there because there's some extra different dashboards and stuff like that you don't get with a regular .org experience. So you pretty much like have to use it effectively over there. And then if you're in .org land, you could download the plugin. I'm sure there's I don't know if Jetpack is, if there's a level of it that's free or there's a subscription or whatever, but I'm sure it's just like any other kind of like plugin thing, right? So like does the Jetpack experience work similarly to like how .com, .org work in tandem, where like, okay, Devin is actually the main guy, the leader of Jetpack, but the main product of Jetpack is the .com side of things. And then if they add things there, okay, it just gets kind of like down the stream into the .org stuff, or is it more or less all the same and it just all happens, or is he on the .org side? Like what's I didn't get the full story yet.
Yeah, no, it's a free plugin. It's not separated like that. I think they probably eventually want to do something where Jetpack might be more unique on .com, but I feel like .com is the biggest playground for them to test Jetpack, like actually like get it in the hands of real users and get that feedback. Like the whole Jetpack thing. Trojan horse is a strong phrase, but what it is the ability to say experience WordPress better, like made by the people. Here's the phrase that I've said for a while: experience WordPress better by the team who makes WordPress. Right? It's sort of that creative freedom that Automatic gets. Rightfully so. They have a lot of contributors, but are they the ones make it? That's where the ambiguity of the brand lies. But their ability to say, we make Jetpack. We're also WordPress.com. If you want to experience Jetpack, WordPress the best way, install Jetpack, and that could be on any web host. So it's their ability to go to any web host and say, distribute Jetpack with this and with your WordPress hosting accounts, and your users will have a better experience for WordPress. Like if I'm an internal sales guy at Automatic, that's what I'm saying, loosely. And then WordPress.com gets those features as well. And they just use that as like the way to dog food the product. It needs a lot of help in a lot of different areas. I had a .com account because I really wanted to try the newsletter side of it. And I replaced my Ghost site for podcast setup newsletter. And I switched it to .com so I could see how WordPress competes on the newsletter level, like to compete against Ghost and compete against Substack. And it is, hands down, terrible. It is a terrible experience, right? Awful. And I told, Devin this, like whenever he wants my, feedback on the newsletter side, it's not it. And as much as I, love WordPress and it's my career, there are instances where people just want a newsletter and a simple site /blog. And Ghost, if you're looking for open source, hands down, Ghost is the best. If you just want simplicity, and by simplicity, like effortless publishing for newsletter and blog at the same time, it's Ghost. And then, of course, there's probably Substack. I've never used Substack. I know it's super popular, but to me, it's not open source, so I'm not going to use it. And Jetpack is trying to like do the newsletter thing, but it's also like wrapped into WordPress, and now you have to like understand posts and all. So it's just it's a non-starter for anybody looking right now. Anyway, if anyone's looking at Substack versus WordPress, because those are the two big brand names, Substack's going to win 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a character flaw of mine that I can never get. I've never once in my mind thought, okay, I'm going to compare these two options, and I'm going to say, no, I just need something simple, and then I go with the simple thing. I literally never have done that in my entire life, and I think it's because I feel like every single thing that I do, I want to do it as best as I possibly can, and I have these ideas that I will get to the point where I will need the more complex thing. So I'm just going to go that route now, and I'm going to make the complex thing work simply at the beginning, and then I will turn it into, like, I feel like I'm lucky in a sense that I found WordPress, because I feel like WordPress is the place that you end up getting when you want to be robust as far as, general website builders.
Yeah, that is the advantage long term, is you can do anything with it. But I mean, you haven't been forced into pockets of time where you need to get in and get out. And that's what like the podcast setup.com is like for me. It's like another side hustle. Like I love sharing my thoughts about podcasting. Like you just watched that video of Mark
without a podcast.
Without a podcast.
Talks about podcasts, doesn't even have a podcast for it.
But like Ghost is super simple, man. Like when I go into like I 1 day a month, like that's my goal. Can I just do 1 day a month at the podcast setup? And when I hop in, like logs in fast. I see my stats right there. It's like, okay, my subscribers are going up. I can see my analytics real quick, page views, right there on the dashboard. Boom, I can just see like the health of the podcast setup in like 2 seconds. I'm like, I got it. I'm in here once a month. I see it right there. With WordPress, it's like click over here, click over there, go over here. Maybe I load Cocoa Analytics, which I did a video on, and I could see that. Okay, I got to load up all this stuff. And then I just want to draft the episode, or excuse me, I want to draft the blog post in the newsletter and schedule it as quick as possible. And I'm in and I'm out in like 45 minutes with Ghost and the experience. And then I'm not setting up an SMTP service. I'm not setting up a third-party email platform. Like if I wanted to run a newsletter on WordPress, I would have to, do what I do with the WP Minute, which is gravity form, goes to my ConvertKit account. And then we draft all of our newsletters in ConvertKit. And that's fine because I have a team at the WP Minute, which is fantastic, and that's at scale. Like, I look at the WP Minute as, if now that I have a team and I'm at scale, WordPress makes all the sense of the world because I can control all these different little workflows and everything fits the business needs. Then I slide over to myself at the podcast setup, which is just me and like 1 square inch of my brain dedicated to it. And I just need to be like, okay, I can't think about updating this site. I can't think about hosting for this site. I can't think about any other third-party services. I just need something to publish. Boom. Ghost it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're making a case for WordPress.com, but maybe in a world where it was a little bit easier to see.
WordPress.com sucks for email. Yes. If I want a newsletter, it is terrible.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Automatic's
terrible.
not going to be happy about that one.
I mean, that's fine. I think they know that. It's quite obvious. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to log into your WordPress site, look at your dashboard, and go, where's my email stats? Oh, it's under Jetpack, and then Jetpack email subscribers. Okay, where's the stats that go? Where's the stats for page? Okay, the stats for page views is over here. Ghost simplifies it. I'm not going to give all the free product advice to Automatic. They'd have to hire me, or at least Devin's going to buy me lunch, wine and dine me a little bit, and then I'll give you a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a blogging platform, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
yes, it's a great blogging platform, but not a newsletter platform. It's a boat that they certainly missed, and maybe Devin's going to get them on board.
See what happens. Jetpack to the moon.
I feel like you're afraid to touch that. That's okay. All right. I see.
I'm not afraid to touch it. I'm literally looking at WordPress.com right now.
Interesting, the landscape of WordPress media these days.
I'm looking at WordPress.com
I got one eye on
right
you. I got one eye on Matt Cromwell. Listen, 2026 ain't a year that's any different than I've experienced. Every year, somebody steps up to be, I'm going to be a WordPress journalist, and I am going to cover the important topics throughout the WordPress ecosystem. Because I'll tell you, it's important. Yep. And then you'll get a sponsor. Cromwell will get a sponsor, and you'll all be like, how do you do this, Matt? What do you do? How'd you get this guy? What did you, is that a banner? How'd you get those sponsored logos on those newsletters? And then I will wait for all of you to die like cockroaches as the years march on. Die. That's right. I'm the cockroach in the story. I'm the one that survives. You guys leave. Shout out to Matt Cromwell, who no longer has a job.
Oh, my God.
What else do we have on the docket, Mark? Anything else you want to talk about?
Cloudflare destroyed half the internet this morning, and I got a video that has almost 6,000 views from it, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, you put out a video about it, so now you're...
Wow, you don't even watch my content. You're a terrible friend.
I've been vibe coding all morning.
Obviously,
and in
Jesus
meetings.
Christ.
So you're newsjacking, as it's known. You're newsjacking.
I do whatever I have to do. Yeah.
Yep.
Only 4,600 views. So
you jumped on the hype bandwagon. What'd you say about Cloudflare?
I didn't really say anything about Cloudflare. I was just reporting on my situation that I couldn't get in. My website was down, and then I couldn't get into GridPane to my websites because they use Turnstile. Then I couldn't get into Cloudflare because they use Turnstile to look at my domains or my DNS because all my shit's there. Then I didn't need to, but I couldn't get into Namecheap because they use Turnstile. Then I couldn't get into ChatGPT to cry about it to ChatGPT because they use challenges.cloudflare.com or whatever. So yeah, it was just a bad morning,
People are popping off on that video because they just want to see.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good with the titles and thumbnails too. This Cloudflare
What was the title
outage.
of the video?
This Cloudflare outage is bad. November 18th, 2025. And then the thumbnail is this is fine with the fire, like the dog and the fire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And me going like this, and then Cloudflare at the top.
Mm.
So Big YouTube guy now.
Did you get that all edited through your editor, bright and
Well, that
early
was
in the morning?
that was another thing. I one shotted it just like you with the prompts. And then I upload the video directly. But that was the other thing is that I am a noob and I use Canva for my thumbnails. And so I knew I had a thumbnail that looked like this from a long time ago. It was a WordPress video where like WordPress is fine, this is fine. But then I went into Canva and I took that project and Canva worked, but the editor part of it must have been affected because I couldn't do that. So then I had to pull it off of there and I was going to use Affinity, which is free now, but I don't know how to use it well yet. So then I need to be fast. So then I went to Photopea, which is the knockoff version of Photoshop that's in the browser. Yeah.
Figma. You could have used Figma.
Yeah, I'm not proficient at that either.
Maybe they were also affected by
A lot of people were.
Yeah. America runs on Cloudflare.
I saw your thing. Yeah. Little fake Dunkin' cup.
Funny enough, the Cloudflare issue helped. So my vibe coding, I've been for the last couple of weeks. I put out a plugin a couple weeks ago called Podloom. It's a podcast player for Transistor, plugin for WordPress, and I've been using it on my sites where I host podcasts. And I know the guys fairly well at RSS.com, which is another podcast hosting company that I also recommend, depending on what kind of features you're looking for. And I was talking to them about their API because I use the Transistor API in this plugin. Makes it super easy. Put in your API key for a Transistor. It lists all your episodes or all your shows that you have in Transistor. So if you're like me and you have like 10, you can pull in different podcasts for different, posts and stuff. But the cool thing about the API is it pulls in the Transistor player, which is pretty nice. And that doesn't mean now I don't have to make my own player, right? JavaScript and all the extra code to do all that stuff. So I'm talking to the RSS guys last week, and they have API access, but it's only for like managing the account. They don't give you a payload of like a podcast player and all this other stuff that Transistor does. So he's like, just parse the RSS feed, and then you could have like all the podcasting 2.0 tags and all this other stuff, which he's right. But I've vibe coded so many like podcast things so far that I hate creating an RSS parser because it's just so freaking complex. And when you're only a vibe coder, it's very hard to like debug all this stuff and understand what you should do. But anyway, fast forward. I have enhanced it to pull in any RSS feed. I have built my own player, but I stuck with using the WordPress default media player and just built a very lightweight HTML and JavaScript player around that with all like the podcast meta information. So the plan is to get it in a working order and then get it on WordPress.org, hopefully by December, and have it's not my first official plugin in the repo, but have a new official plugin in the repo, which I can continue to build features off of, but more importantly, like get people podcasting and getting into the workflow that I like with podcasting. It's not a competitor to my old job or to the other podcast players that are in there, because a lot of the players in the repo already want you to use WordPress as the podcast host. And I don't like that. And it's way too complex. So it'll be for people who already have podcasts, either Transistor or anywhere else that you want to ingest an RSS feed. So I've been spending some Claude Max tokens the last couple of weeks building that out.
What's the pricing structure going to be, bud?
So It's funny you bring that up, Mark. It's
Come on,
funny.
bud. We gotta make some positive ROI here. Oh, the turntables. Let's go.
It's funny you bring that up. I'm not going to charge for the plugin.
$0.
The plugin will be the plugin will be $0. I do have an idea for a pro side of the plugin, but I'm less interested in that and more interested in making money on courses or training around podcasting. So I give the software away for free, but if you want like help setting it up on the WordPress site, or you want more in-depth education around like how to make money with a podcast, supplement the free software with whatever, $100 course, right, on how to make money with podcasting. Or maybe you hire me to review your WordPress website or something like that. Like, I want to try to supplement the software or the revenue. Instead of selling the software, sell services alongside of it. And it's more unique because it's the podcasting space. So haven't fully fleshed it out yet, but that's where I'm gonna lean to. I don't want to get into a situation where it's just like, I certainly don't want to get into a situation where I have to sell like a fucking license and have to do like either freemius or easy digital downloads, and now I have a pro version and a free version. I'm not interested in that right now. It's far too complex and too heavy for that as somebody who's not a developer. But if I can give you some core features that work really well, and I know because I worked at a company that had a WordPress plugin. People are just like, can you just set this up on my website that are in the podcasting space? And maybe there's something there. Maybe for a couple $100, that's what I could do. I can go in, I can set it up, put in their RSS, answer some questions, and just see how that works. And maybe I can, scale that and have somebody help me do that, in the future or something like that. Give it to my kids so that they can help the customer, right? That's how they'll get their allowance money. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Claude Code is doing amazing, and the feature set has come along really well. And I've built it to the way that I want to, that I like to work with podcasts and WordPress. So should be pretty good.
So you're building a lead magnet.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. It's not certainly not the intent, right? It's not like I have a podcast hosting company and I'm like, oh, here's this free player. Here's the free player, and then sign up for the service, right? Like, that's what we did at Castos. So like, you could host the podcast on your WordPress website, but that's a pain in the ass. And you don't get all the cool features. So like, then you would go and sign up with Castos. That's not the full game plan for me.
Well, it's a lead magnet. It's just not leading directly to like a larger version of what they bought. It's like it's a tangential thing that they'd be interested in. And I don't know, business wise, I mean, are you like the services? Those are just done via like WP Minute brand, or they're done via you, or they're done via the podcast newsletter? Because the podcast newsletter, like, I mean, you could probably do something cool over there because it is related to that. That audience would be the warmest for what you're trying to do, probably. Yeah,
that's what I'm kind of. It's certainly not going to be the WP Minute. No, that's for sure. So it's either just going to be like standalone. It's the Podloom plugin, and you go to podloomplugin.com, you get the plugin, you can buy the service, or I put it on the podcast setup, and that stuff is there. Like, I haven't really decided that part of it yet. The secondary source is, like, I really like Transistor, and I really like RSS. If I were to pick 3 podcast hosts, it goes Transistor, RSS, Buzzsprout. And they all have their feature set, but Transistor's really good at almost everything. And then RSS.com is like really good if you want podcasting 2.0 features, if you want the live item tag, which is you can broadcast audio live. They do that really well. And if you really want deep stats, RSS does a really good job at that as well. And then Buzzsprout is probably, it's just as feature packed, but I would say a little bit more user friendly. They're the biggest company out of the three in terms of like, I think person wise, where they can like support, and they have like an ad network. Whereas if you want to like monetize your show, it's pretty readily available in Buzzsprout. So typically, like when somebody asks me, it's always like Transistor if you want the most general stuff, RSS if you're really into like live or podcasting 2.0 stuff, or stats. And then if like you wanted to like turn on advertising fairly soon, I would look at Buzzsprout. So the secondary income would be like, this is a site where I would do like affiliate to any one of these, right? So it's just like the podcast plugin allows you to embed Transistor really easy and put those podcasts into WordPress. And oh, by the way, like if it's the first time you're seeing Transistor and you're like, oh, that's cool, then maybe you can use the affiliate link to sign up. And that's an affiliate play that I'm cool with, you know? Like, you like it, here's the features, go sign up, use my link, you know? So I don't know, we'll test the waters and see how that flies.
Sounds pretty cool.
The reason why I transitioned to that conversation was because Transistor runs on Cloudflare. And when I was working on my plugin this morning, it broke the plugin because it couldn't access the API. And I didn't have any logic to, like, what happens when the API is not available suddenly, right? So, like, when I logged in to my test site to test the podcast stuff, there's, like, this big, like, error message, like, on top. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then, you know, you read through it and it's like Cloudflare, and I'm like, oh God, like now I have to think about what happens when there's no API access available. So it was kind of good, you know, for me to like see that and be like, okay, let's solve for that issue, because it wasn't something I was testing. So otherwise, cool to see Cursor doing a lot better these days with coding stuff. You build anything yet?
No, bro. No, I'm not building shit. Not building shit. Well, I was working on the Motive 11 website last night. I was not vibe coding it. No, I was not vibe coding it. But no, I'm not building anything. I'm trying to finish the backlog of content deliverables that I have as we round out the year here. And fix the messaging, simple, direct messaging for Motive 11, and go from there. Because, yeah.
Here's a simple tagline.
God.
We're closed for business.
Closed for business.
Going out of business.
We don't have a lot of MRR, but we do have some MRR. So you know, we're not dead yet.
All right. So what did you fine tune? I saw you comment to somebody. I don't know where it was. I saw it, and I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said 55% of my time is content creation, and 15% of my time is agency work. So what? Where you at? Where you at with the agency?
Fixing it.
What were you fine tuning? Where's it going?
Did I say
new direction?
Did I say fine tuning?
Or you said you were working on it?
I'm working on messaging because I have always had shit messaging. I mean, it's just I have established a better mindset from all of the content and the conversations I've had about WordPress. I've realized that when you talk to people in the know with WordPress, you're obviously in a bubble. when you talk to clients, like they literally don't give a shit about most things other than like, can you help them make them money or make them look more reputable? So, the idea would be that, I can't condense it into a small thought, but just like going back and forth like ChatGPT and stuff is like, how do you just, as soon as somebody, like as an example, lands on your website, you direct them there, or you talk about your business at all, it's like, I want to be overtly direct with them. It's like, hey, let's be honest. You're here because your online presence is probably pretty bad. Like your marketing, your efforts, those types of things are not good. We obviously can help you fix those. Here are some reasons. Here are some things. Let's see if any of these things resonate with you. Like, you're not getting any leads on your, just through your contact form, et cetera, whatever. I mean, this is all like 101 shit, but actually a lot of people don't do this well. A lot of people I feel like a lot of people end up talking to their clients like they talk to their peers, which I think I'm at a advantage because I've realized now that I can't do that, and I want to get away from that if I'm going to talk to clients.
Can't talk to
So-
them like peers, you mean?
Yeah, you can't, because they don't know the stuff that your peers know, and it's like you just can't use the bubble conversation to them. It's actually easier in a lot of ways because again, they're simple. They want to make money as a business. So it's like, I can help you. Like the problem that I've been in for a while is like, I've felt like I need to learn, I need to keep learning a bunch of shit, but that's not really the case. You just need to have more conversations with clients, because then your confidence is going to skyrocket, because I'm not saying this disrespectfully. It's like they know so much less than like the average web designer and marketer, because they're busy doing whatever the hell else they're doing. Right. Like, so, I don't know why I've strayed away from it. It's mostly because I like the content stuff and I like having those conversations. But as we both know, it's not difficult. It's not like extremely difficult to make money from that, but it's extremely difficult to be half baked in both.
That's the end of today's episode, everybody. It's just over an hour of the unnamed podcast with me and the other guy. MJS.bio. That website probably has more content on it.
Oh, it does. I love myself.
TheWPMinute.com, TheWPMinute.com/courses. Subscribe to the newsletter. Everything is free. Free is for me. The holiday season is fast approaching. Give your loved ones the gift of hosting knowledge. Go to TheWPMinute.com/courses. See you in the next episode.